So before we get into today's content, let's do a real quick key of our homework. I'm going to go ahead and, do all of our homework problems together with you. That way, if you have questions, hopefully you'll get them answered. If you don't, you can always email me, or you can wait till next class and get anything else specific. So I'm going to go ahead and walk through the solutions of these problems as we go and do them and with you, so that you can figure that out that way. So number one on our homework, we have negative 3/5 x equals negative 18/25. Now this negative 3/5 is multiplied times the x, right? So how do we get rid of it? We divide. Now, how do we divide fractions? Remember, we multiply by the reciprocal. So that's going to be our next step here, is to multiply times negative 5/3. And if we do it to that side, we've got to do it to this other side too. So on this side, we're going to do negative 5/3, right? So these cancel out, leaving us with just x on the left side, equals. Now on this side, you can either pre-reduce or you can reduce at the end. I'm going to go ahead and just show, for the sake of time, I'm just going to use pre-reducing here. Now if you do reduce at the end, you should still get the same answer if you reduce all the way. So if I look at this diagonal, 5 goes into both of these numbers. 5 divided by 5 is 1, right? 25 divided by 5 is 5. Now, on these, in this diagonal, 3 goes into both of those. So 3 divided by 3 is 1. 18 divided by 3 is 6. That's really, really good there, because now we just have 3 times 1 equals 3, and 5 times 1 equals 5. Now, we have negative 18/25 times negative 5/3. If you remember back to our rules for multiplication division of integers, a negative times a negative is going to give us a positive. So our answer is positive 3. That 3 kind of went crazy. It still looks ugly, but it's going to be as close as we're going to get today. 3/5, or 3/5. That's the answer to number 1. Now, on number 2, we have y minus 10/3 equals negative 12. Now, remember, I told you that the easy way to do these when we have this number that's divided into everything is to go ahead and take care of that one on the bottom first. So this 3 is attached to everything else through division. So the way we're going to get rid of it is by multiplying. So we're going to multiply 3 on this side. And if we multiply 3 on that side, we've got to multiply 3 on this other side. Those 3's cancel out, leaving us with y minus 10 equal. I'm kind of smushing this together because I'm kind of short on space because of the way I wrote it for you the other day. So negative 12 times positive 3 gives us negative 36. Now we have y minus 10 equals negative 36. So we look at what's attached to the variable, how is it attached, and then we do the opposite to get rid of it. So this 10 is attached, and it's attached through subtraction. And so how do we get rid of it? We add 10 to both sides. So we do plus 10 here, and if we do plus 10 here, we got to do plus 10 here. So, oops, not plus 0. That's not going to do anything, is it? So on this one, we have negative 36, plus 10. And so all that's left on the left side is the y, and I'm going to kind of transfer this over this way. It's going to be a little equals with an arrow saying I'm going that way, right? So what's left on the left side is y equals negative 26. There we go. There's that one. Let's look at number 3. For 3, we have a negative 6 that's divided into everything. So we're going to attack it the same way. And we're going to multiply negative 6 on this side. If we do it to that side, we've got to do it to this other side too. All right, those cancel out, leaving us with negative 5 plus z equals negative 2 times negative 6 is positive 12, right? Now, we look at what's attached to z, how it's attached, and then we do the opposite to get rid of it. Now, this one's a little bit tricky because we've got a 5 attached, and it looks like it's attached through addition, right? But it's not, and this is where we get tricky, because adding a negative is the same as subtracting. That's one of the number one things that we're getting straight in our head this year, okay? So this 5 is subtracted from z, and so to get rid of it, we have to add 5 to both sides. Whoops. Add 5 over here, and then we're going to add 5 over there. Those 5s cancel out, leaving us with just a z. I'm going to do my little fancy arrow this way too. I'm going to head this direction and write my final answer over here, because all I'm left with is z. So z equals 12 plus 5 is 17. So z equals 17 is the answer to number 3. All right. Now, number 4, moving on. So now we've got a fraction times a variable. So to get rid of it, we've got to divide. And remember, to divide, we multiply times the reciprocal. So we're going to multiply both sides times 72 over 64. Okay? We're going to multiply these times 72 over 64. Right? So these cancel, leaving us with just a on this side. Now this one, we could do this in less steps than what I'm about to write, but I'm going to go ahead, and since the numbers are kind of big, I'm going to do this in a couple of steps. And so I'm going to kind of rewrite this bit over here. That way we get things pretty clear and we understand what's going on. So we have 16 over 12 times 72 over 64, right? So I'm going to start by dividing the diagonals. Let's actually start with this one. Why don't we start with just this one? Because these are both even. We can divide both of these by 2. Because remember, we don't have to go diagonal. We can go straight up and down too. So we can go ahead and reduce these by 2. So 16 divided by 2 is 8, right? 12 divided by 2 is 6. All right, we've reduced a little bit. We've gone down a little bit further. What about this other side? These are both even. Why not go straight that way? So 72 divided by 2 is, let's see, 35 plus 1 is 36. So it's 30. So 72 divided by 2 is 36. 64 divided by 2 is 32, right? Now we've got some. Now you might know 8 and 32. That one you might know off the top of your head, maybe, because that's kind of in our normal 12s chart or 10s chart or whatever else that you do. So we know that 8 goes into 32 and 8 goes into 8. So we can divide both of these by 8. Let's go ahead and do that. You might see that one next. So 8 divided by 8 is 1. 32 divided by 8 is 4. That's handy, mandy. Now, this other one over here might be just as easy to see. 6 and 36. Those you might see, and those you might be able to reduce that way, because 6 times 6 is 36, right? So 6 divided by 6 is 1, and 36 divided by 6 is 6. Oh, look, we can reduce one more time, because over here we've got 6 and 4. Those are both even, right? So we can divide those by 2. What's 6 divided by 2? Well, it's a 3. And what's 4 divided by 2? And that's a 2. Now, 3 and 2 don't reduce anymore. So once we're at the end, we multiply straight across, right? So we multiply this way and we multiply this way. 1 times 3 is, let's see, I'm going to write it over here and then I'll rewrite it over there. 1 times 3 is 3. 1 times 2 is 2. Okay, so this is 3 halves. Now, we're going to do one more thing with 3 halves because we don't like this top number to be bigger than the bottom number, right? So we're going to go ahead and divide that out and convert that into a mixed number. You may be able to see that one without doing the scratch paper work, but just so we're clear on what's happening, we're dividing 2 divided into 3, right? 2 goes into 3 once. 1 times 2 is 2. 3 minus 2 is 1. 2 doesn't go into 1, so we're going to put it 1 over this number, which is 2. So our answer is 1 1/2. There we go. Easy peasy lemon squeezy. Let's look at number 5. This problem's a little bit sneaky because this one is actually a two-step problem, even though it kind of looks like it's a one-step problem. There's actually a couple of different ways to go about doing this one. We're going to do it kind of the way we've been doing this style of two-step problems in class. And so we're going to get rid of this -1 by adding 1 to both sides, right? So +1 and then +1 over there, right? Those cancel, right? Now, so we end up with negative x equals -1 plus 1. Oh, that's 0, isn't it? Now, if there's not a number in front of the 1, excuse me, I already gave the answer away. Oh, no. If there's not a number in front of the variable, it's a 1, right? Remember that? So this -1 is multiplied times x. So to get rid of it, we're going to divide by -1 on both sides. So all we're left with is x on the left side. Now 0 divided by -1 is still 0, isn't it? So x equals 0 is our answer to number 5. All right, let's do our last problem in this set. This one looks really scary, but it's not really as bad as it looks, because especially if you pre-reduce. So we've done a few of these, so I'm not gonna enumerate all the words, but to get rid of this fraction that's multiplied times the y, we multiply times its reciprocal. So we're going to multiply times -25 over 1024, right? If we do it to that side, we're going to do it to this side too. So we're going to multiply times, I'm going to do it in this parentheses so it's real clear with that negative as well, times -25 over 1024. Now, you could do this in any number of, well, I don't know about any number of steps, but you could do this in different numbers of steps, depending on what you see for reducing. But I'm going to go ahead and go for the kill, because you might see this early, and you might not. If you do this reduction in a few steps, that's fine. If you multiply it out and then reduce at the very end, that's also fine. In this particular problem, you're going to deal with some pretty large numbers, but that's okay. So we're going to reduce 25 and 75 by 25, because 25 goes into both. What's 25 divided by 25? It's 1. What's 75 divided by 25? Well, it's 3. Okay. Now, here's a cool one, right? 512 and 1024. Both of those are divisible by 512. Whoa. Now, they're both even, right? So you could go by 2. In fact, you could go by 2 like several times, and you could go all the way by 2s, because these are both powers of 2, and get down there eventually. But these are both actually divisible by 512, because 512 divided by 512 is 1, of course. That one's easy peasy. Now, 1024 divided by 512 is 2. Now, just because of where we are and what level we're at with this class and such, let's just kind of prove this for you just over here in the scratch paper. So if this is true, then 512 times 2 should equal 1024, right? That's what we're saying here. So 2 times 2 is 4. 2 times 1 is 2. So far, so good. 2 times 5 is 10. 1024 divided by 2 equals 512. So that's as far as that one goes, right? So all that's left on the left side is y. And all that's left on the right side is, we got to multiply, right? 1 times 1 is 1. 3 times 2 is 6. Y equals 1/6. And that's all she wrote, ladies and gentlemen. That is the homework. In our next video, we'll get into our next new lesson. Let's dive in.